It was one of the few games that a lot of people tagged during the offseason as a possible Alabama letdown spot for an upset. They traveled to Fayetteville, taking on the Hogs of Arkansas, who had an excruciating loss, almost up 21-7 with a goal line fumble, turned into a last-second field goal loss to Texas A&M. Bama at Arkansas. We got Steve Merrill on the line from Wager Talk, and I encourage you to head on over to wagertalk.com. Bama, Arkansas, Steve, a really good team, but it's one of those deals where Bama is just an overwhelming favorite at 17 points.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting game. I kind of wish, Mark, that Arkansas was in a better spot, because I'd really like to see what Alabama's made of here, because that Texas game has a lot of us wondering. Because, look, this is an Alabama team that's 4-0 straight up, like they should be, 3-1 against the spread, but all three spread wins and covers were as 40-point favorites or more. They've just crushed the bad teams, and you can't give them too much credit for doing that. In fact, I had a best bet on them in week 1 against Utah State. They won 55-0. We laid the 41 for my clients at wagertalk.com. So I'm not afraid to lay the big number with Alabama, but that Texas game I stayed off of, and it was their only true road game of the season, their only road game of the season, their only good opponent of the season, and they really were fortunate to win the game. Could have gone either way, and no turnovers for either team in that game, and they still only put up 20 points. I do a show every Thursday on ESPN Radio with in SEC country, the Tennessee Valley, Alabama area, with Tom Abraham. He follows Bama really closely, and he was telling me this week that he thinks one of the problems with Alabama on the road, they do a lot of checks at the line of scrimmage. Bryce Young has the ability to do that. When the defense is laying off like Vanderbilt was, he can do the quick dumps, which they did quite often. On the road, it's more difficult to do that, especially with young, 19, 20-year-old kids who aren't used to doing it. So you could make a case that Alabama's going to be a little bit weaker on the road like they were at Texas. So that is a concern. My power ratings favor them by 21. That doesn't take into account, obviously, the fact that maybe they're having trouble checking at the line of scrimmage. The little elves that live in my computer and crunch the numbers don't take that into account. So, there are subjective things with handicapping, not just numbers. So my power ratings make it 21. With that said, though, the line looks a little short, and I do think it's a bad spot for Arkansas. Not that they're not going to be up for this game. It's easy to say, yeah, they're ready to play Alabama. But like you said, the way they lost last week against Texas A&M, and keep in mind, they were 3-0 straight up. They'd be 4-0 with a chance to pull the upset here. They'd be in the national title talks, the least. And now they're kind of on the outside looking in. These are the kind of losses that can linger. And if Bama brings their A game, that would be the preferred side, as there is some line value there. But it's kind of a wait-and-see approach, because that Texas game concerns me still, and I'm going to be very cautious and very curious to see how Alabama looks this week on the road.
Folks, we're posting segments with Steve across our channels here at the Voice of College Football, so check those out. And, of course, get the deep dive with Steve on wagertalk.com. Patreon.com as well as a place to be for Steve's Under the Radar selection. Join us on Patreon.com. Search Mark Rogers TV. Sign up there. You can talk college football 24/7. 365. Steve, thanks.
Thanks, Mark.